Time for today's speed round, brought to you by Verizon 5G. Built right. Peter King, Mike Florio, working our way through this Friday edition of PFT Live. Let's get into it. For this weekend's games, either game, pick a name. Which receiver must be held in check, Peter?
I think Stephon Diggs more than any single receiver. You might say Devontae Adams, and I would understand that, but the way that Aaron Rodgers has spread the ball around recently, I won't say that, but I will say that Stephon Diggs is hugely, hugely important for the Kansas City Chiefs. They know that. I think they're going to try to be physical with him early, try to get him off his game a little bit. Stephon Diggs is my guy who they have to hold in check to win this game.
You know, I went through the same process. Devontae Adams was the first name that came to mind, but then it's like you can't hold him in check. You just have to accept the fact he's going to get the ball and he's going to get his yards and maybe get a touchdown or two. You have to deal with that. With Diggs, I just feel like if someone fully commits to taking him away, that's the keystone to possibly collapsing the Bills' offense, especially because we've seen over the years Stephon Diggs can get frustrated. He can get a little antsy. In the game against the Chiefs when they were losing and they're trying to get the ball down the field and they're trying to move to the line of scrimmage, he's walking back to the line of scrimmage. You want him to snap a little bit if you're the Chiefs, and you do it with physicality, keep him from getting into his route, keeping him from getting the football, build a lead. He gets frustrated, and then the Bills have that to worry about on top of everything else. That should be the goal for the Chiefs' defense, not just take Diggs away, but make him frustrated because that could implode the whole offense. Defensive player who will get picked on the most this weekend, Peter, who you got?
This was a tough one to choose from because normally you get to this level and you don't have a lot of weak points. But my feeling is what the Green Bay Packers are going to try to do in this game is they're going to try to make Aaron Jones hugely important. And I think what they're going to try to do is run at Jason Pierre-Paul's side of the Tampa defense. Jason Pierre-Paul desperately wants to be a pass rush force in this game. I think they're going to try to be physical against Pierre-Paul and take their chances with running at him.
You know, I think that makes a ton of sense because, as Sims and I have been saying, you can't run it outside. Devin White and Levante David are going to gobble you up if you do. And now that Vita Vea, I don't know how healthy he is, and I don't know if this is more of a play for the Super Bowl, not for the conference championship game, but there are going to be limited windows. And if the Green Bay Packers are going to have any success running the football, they got to find a weakness. They got to find an opening, and it may be JPP trying to get around the edge to get after Aaron Rodgers that creates an opening to run. And also, if you start running at him, what do? You neutralize JPP as a pass rusher because he's thinking that Aaron Jones is going to be coming right at him, or Jamal Williams or A.J. Dillon if Dillon's able to play. Which assistant coach has the most important job?
And my feeling is Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator of the Bills. Just keep two things in mind. Brian Daboll doesn't have a great running game to rely on right now. You know, I would say the three other coaches in this game all have a better running game that they can rely on this week than the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills. And what that means is, you know, it's 2nd and 5 now, and Daboll mentally might be thinking, well, this is a passing down. You know, it's not necessarily a running down. And so I think Daboll has got to get it into the head of his quarterback who, you know, and you just don't know. Maybe he gets shaken if they get behind by 10 early, and get it in the head of his quarterback. Okay, let's take small chunks. Dawson Knox, Cole Beasley, short stuff, intermediate point of the field. Don't get greedy. Brian Daboll has to be disciplined in this game, and his offense has to be disciplined.
You ever try to start a chainsaw in the cold? I have a feeling Peter King has never tried to start a chainsaw in the cold.
Never in my life.
Okay.
I've never even started a chainsaw, Mike. I just chop down the trees myself with an axe.
what the Buccaneers, are going to need on Sunday is Todd Bowles to start that defense, which is a chainsaw in the cold. Because when you wake them up, they are incredible. And we saw them finally wake up in the second half of the game against the Saints. But it's on Todd Bowles, the Buccaneers defensive coordinator, to get those guys. And maybe he can get it going right out of the gates. Maybe it's on the first pull that it gets going. But that's the thing. He's got to get his guys throwing caution to the wind, playing with reckless abandon. I think Devin White is basically the cord on the chainsaw, because we saw it from him in the first half of the game against the Saints. It just didn't really spread. That's the key, though. If they want to win this game, they have to slip back into that zone that we saw that defense slip into in the second half of the Saints game. That's the only way they're going to crack the code on Aaron Rodgers, because he's otherwise going to pick them apart, and it's going to become a shootout. And I think the Packers win a shootout if it becomes a shootout between Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Which home field advantage will be more impactful on Sunday?
I mean, I don't want to be cliche, but obviously Green Bay. And not just because of the cold. This is the first time Aaron Rodgers has ever played a championship game at home. I think it's hugely important to him. And he's not going to freeze up over it, no pun intended. He's going to play as Aaron Rodgers does. And I think that is important. And look, you'd be stupid not to mention that there's so many guys on that Tampa Bay team who are warm weather players from warm weather colleges. And you said it earlier in the show, Mike. Don't give me all this stuff about how the cold doesn't matter. It matters.
Once you get that first taste of it, it matters. And everything you try to do to get yourself mentally prepared for it goes away. The other reason I think the Packers have more of a home field advantage, this is only their second game with fans present. And they say there's only 6,500. I don't know if they're wearing a lot of layers or what. It looks like more than 6,500 people in the stands. And I know that the Packers struggled throughout the regular season without having that external source of energy, and I think that gives the Packers another advantage as well. The Chiefs have had their 15,000 all year. They're used to it. For the Packers, it's still new. Should Patriots fans be rooting for the Buccaneers and hashtag Tommy, or the Green Bay Packers to keep Tommy from getting to a Super Bowl without the Patriots and Bill Belichick?
Personally, I think if you're a real Patriots fan, you're rooting for Tom Brady. Because how can you not root for a guy who has given you more sporting joy and maybe more life joy than you've ever had following any sport? So to me, it would be pretty small if you say, well, he doesn't play here anymore, so I hope he loses. I mean, come on. This was a joint decision, believe me. That Tom Brady isn't there anymore. And so if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm rooting for Brady to get number 7.
I talked to Tom Curran about this earlier in the week. He said that the Patriots fans are split between the Belichick files and the Brady files. And the folks who align with Belichick don't want Brady to win. They don't want Brady to make Belichick look bad. And I think at a certain level you can make the argument, even though it is small and petty, it's, people are small and petty, and I'm as small and petty as anyone. You don't want to diminish your legacy of 6 Super Bowls by having your quarterback go win one somewhere else, because then you start thinking, well, maybe it was more the quarterback than the coach or the team or the Patriot way. So I could see plenty of Patriots fans thinking go Pack go on Sunday when Tom Brady comes to town. All right, let's take a break.
Mike, let me just say one thing. Let me say one thing about that. The world is going to be a better place when we stop asking the following question. So, who's more responsible, Brady or Belichick, for the Patriots' greatness? I mean, can't we simply accept the fact, no matter who we root for, no matter who we love, no matter who we hate, can't we just simply accept the fact that some people are better together than apart? And can't we just accept the fact it's a great mystery of sport? You will never know this. You can come up with every argument you want. Belichick's under 500 without Brady. Brady is this. Belichick is that. Whatever you come up with, I don't care. I appreciate the fact that in my 37-year career covering the National Football League, I got to cover one of the best sports teams of all time, the New England Patriots. And you know what? They had one of the greatest coaches of all time, and they had one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And let's just not try to say, oh, well, Belichick's better than Brady. I don't care.
See, if I were a real smartass, this is the point where I would ask you, who's more responsible for the Patriots' Super Bowl success, Brady or Belichick? But I won't. Let's take a break.
I would say Gerard Mayo.
Show me something draft coming up next here on PFT Live.
Pro Football Talk is brought to you by Verizon. 5G built right.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.